Imagine finding a campsite where dinner is still laid out, boots and coats untouched, and a tent ripped from the inside, as if its occupants had fled into a Siberian blizzard half-dressed. If you enjoy vivid mysteries and deep visuals, like and subscribe. It helps us bring these stories to life. 10 hikers set out for the Ural Mountains. 1 turned back. The remaining 9 never returned. Their tent stood high on Kholat Syakhl. 9 skilled hikers walked in. Something forced them out that night. What makes this mystery endure is not just what happened, but why. And the first clues only deepen the contradiction. Imagine cutting yourself out of your only shelter and stepping into the night with no coat, no boots, not even mittens. The air was brutally cold, far below freezing. The snow was deep. Miles from safety, you would have known what that meant. Yet 9 experienced hikers, trained and supplied for winter survival, left everything behind and walked straight into exposure. Inside their tent, rescuers later found half-prepared food and gear untouched. Plates with meals ready for eating sat in silence, as though the group had expected nothing more than a calm evening. No sign of a fight, no sign of intruders. Yet outside, the snow held footprints pressed in overlapping lines, some in boots, some in socks, some bare feet. That quiet interior beside the evidence of sudden flight feels less like a camp and more like an unread book with pages torn out at random. At the heart of this riddle was one stark finding. Investigators noted the tent had been cut open from the inside, a detail confirmed in case files by the observation of a seamstress. If the entrance flap was free, what compelled someone to carve their way out instead? The tracks led about a mile toward the tree line. There, near a crude fire, searchers found the first bodies, Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko. They were in their underwear. Krivonishenko had burn marks on his skin and, according to reports, a piece of flesh in his mouth, bitten from his own hand. Taken together, those signs point to desperate attempts to keep warm in brutal conditions. The fire may have bought minutes of life, but nothing more. Beyond that fire pit, matters grew even stranger. Several hikers were discovered with internal injuries that baffled investigators. Some had fractured ribs and skulls, yet their skin showed no external wounds. One woman was missing her tongue, another had no eyes. These findings were recorded in the original case materials, and they did not align with a single simple cause. An avalanche might crush, but it would leave different marks. A fall might explain fractures, but it should leave bruising. A fight would leave cuts and abrasions. Instead, the damage existed inside bodies that remained outwardly mostly intact. Investigators at the time pointed out that the injuries seemed inconsistent, and no one explanation fit neatly with all of them. This clash of details sharpens the puzzle. You have a tent left orderly, food laid out, and gear untouched. You have prints in the snow, some barefoot, heading into sub-zero darkness. You have 2 men burned and half naked by a fire. Others fatally injured in ways that defy a clean cause. How can all these pieces coexist? Decades later, new claims continue to stir debate. Researcher Teodora Hajiska reports finding a condensed milk tin dated 1958 at the site. She says this challenges earlier assumptions that the hikers had no supplies outside the tent. She also reports a cedar tree she dated through dendrology as having fallen in early 1959, placing it contemporaneous with the incident. These claims may reshape timelines, or they may complicate the picture further. Importantly, they remain subject to verification, and not all researchers agree. When you step back, the scene refuses to arrange itself into a single story. Each fragment, the cut tent, the footprints, the burns, the missing organs, the contested artifacts, points in a direction that cancels out another. What makes this so striking is how the evidence itself seems to argue with itself, leaving you not with one story, but with many. And as each new claim or finding joins the record, the puzzle deepens rather than clears. The question becomes less about what happened in one night on that mountain, and more about how so many irreconcilable details have survived together in one case file. That tension is what keeps this story alive. It draws you back not with the promise of one neat answer, but with the stubborn refusal of the clues to agree on any. And that unresolved clash, to this day, is what turns Dyatlov Pass from a single tragedy into an enduring enigma. What keeps Dyatlov Pass alive in memory is not a shortage of theories, but the clash between them. Each detail cancels out another, leaving what History.com called a contentious and unsolved mystery. Recent, researcher-led finds, like the alleged 1958 tin and a dated fallen cedar, complicate the picture, but they do not yet resolve it. So the central question remains: how can these details coexist? Share your take in the comments. What explanation fits best, or which contradiction puzzles you most? And subscribe with notifications on to keep exploring mysteries like this with us.